everybody and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing a 2024 election prediction between Mike Pence and Bernie Sanders. Realistically, Bernie's not going to run, and realistically, Pence isn't going to get the GOP nomination. But it can be interesting to see hypotheticals like this, even though the chances of it happening are very slim. So I'm just labeling all their safe states, and then for Pence, Nebraska's first would probably be safe. Bernie's, I think the suburbs would be kind of weird because Bernie is not a great suburban candidate, but Pence is a pretty good suburban candidate for at least for a Republican. They're going to continue to shift to the left, so it's kind of hard to tell. So it could be in a fairly similar spot to where they are or to where they were in 2020. For Bernie's likely states, he gets New Mexico, Virginia, Maine at large, Minnesota, and that is it. New Mexico, he's going to do pretty well with the Hispanic Latino vote, and he's going to do pretty well with oil workers. In Minnesota, also Nebraska's second, I'm going to give to him likely. He's going to do well enough in the suburbs, even as they shift to the left, or even though he's not a great suburban candidate, but they're going to continue to shift. And Nebraska's first. Actually, Pence is going to get less rural turnout, so I'm going to give it to him likely. But in Minnesota, Bernie is going to do decent in Minneapolis. He's going to get pretty decent. And he's going to pretty well with the working class. Whereas Pence is going to, the suburbs are probably going to shift slightly to the left. And Pence is going to do pretty well, or is going to, not pretty well, he's going to struggle actually with the rural vote. In Virginia, Bernie's going to struggle with black voters. Pence is going to struggle with the rural vote. And Bernie's probably going to do the DC suburbs. So it'll probably be fairly similar to 2020, maybe shift a little bit to the right. Maine at large, Bernie's going to probably do slightly worse with the white rural college educated vote. I see New Hampshire being lean. I could see New Hampshire being likely, though. It would probably be on, the line. Maine at large is pretty inelastic, but in 2020, for example, and I think 2016 as well, it was a few percentage points to the left of New Hampshire. For Pence's likely states, obviously already Nebraska's first. Kansas, Ohio, South Carolina, and Alaska. And Nebraska's first. Bernie's not great for the suburbs. Pence isn't actually either, but they're going to continue to shift. Kansas, Pence is going to get less rural turnout. The suburbs are going to continue to shift. In Ohio, Bernie, I'm full disclosure, I'm going to give Pence an Iowa lean. But so full disclosure, I'm gonna give him lean, Iowa lean. But so I'm just gonna do it now so I can kind of explain it. I think that in Iowa, I see Pence doing pretty poorly with rural, Trumpish conservatives, and Bernie doing pretty well with rural Obama to Trump voters, who I think he has massive appeal to those voters. I'm sorry, I said my mic with my finger in my hand or whatever. But I don't see Pence I see Pence struggling with the both major demographics in the state, and Bernie doing very well with Obama to Trump voters. In Ohio, Bernie, though, is going to make black voters have a larger share of the electorate, or at least I would think, than in Iowa. And Bernie's going to struggle with the black vote, and if they were fairly similar margins, even with the higher black turnout, Bernie's going to struggle with black voters. And Pence is going to the suburbs are going to continue to shift to the left, but it probably won't mean much, especially with Bernie's less black turnout in bigger cities. Even if Bernie does do pretty well with the working class. South Carolina, Pence and Bernie are both going to struggle. Bernie's going to struggle with the black vote. Pence is going to struggle with rural voters. Alaska, we're going to see more and more Native American voters turning out, which is going to shift it to the left. I don't see Bernie being necessarily amazing, or honestly, I don't see him being horrendous. For Native American voters in Alaska, but I see him being pretty strong for oil workers. For Bernie's lean states, he gets Nevada, Wisconsin, just barely lean, by the way, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Maine second. Nevada, he's going to do pretty well with the Hispanic Latino vote, whereas Pence is going to struggle with rural voters. In Wisconsin, honestly, across Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin being most conservative, Pennsylvania being in the middle, Michigan being the most liberal. And once again, it's not as if Wisconsin's gonna be like 2.5, 3. It's gonna be like 1%, maybe 0.8. Like it's gonna be hardly lean, probably. But Bernie is gonna do pretty well with the working class. The suburbs will shift just slightly to the left. Bernie's going to really struggle with the black vote, though Pence is really going to struggle with rural voters. Main second, Bernie has the populist appeal to be able to carry it and carry it by a lean margin. I kind of already discussed Iowa, but for Pence's other lean states, Texas and Florida. In Texas, Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Bernie's going to do pretty well though with the Hispanic and Latino vote, and the suburbs are going to shift a little bit to the left, or at least they're going to be a little bit to the left, or they're going to vote a little bit to the left where they were in 20, or where they voted in 2020, or just 2020, not 2024, just 2020. In Florida, Bernie is going to probably struggle with Cuban voters. I mean, like I see, I see. So out of a lot of these like mainstream progressives, other than like Rashida Tlaib, I think that AOC is probably like the most liberal. But I think that AOC and Bernie probably would have the least amount of appeal to a lot of these Cubans in Miami. Um, I think that even though Elizabeth Warren, you can make the argument, is farther to the left of Bernie. I think that like just the way like his manner of speaking is what I think would turn off a lot of voters in Miami-Dade, whereas Elizabeth Warren, in a very similar way to like Pete Buttigieg, and at times Joe Biden, lays it out in a very like, not that Buttigieg or Biden are like progressives. Like she kind of is more calm, I guess. I always try to find like the right words to use to describe people like Bernie or Trump. I guess fired up is maybe a way to say it, or like just saying things that could be consequential. I guess I think Elizabeth Warren is less like that. And AOC is more like the Warren side, but Bernie is probably the most conservative of those three. Yeah, I think he would still do pretty weak with Cubans. Pence though is also going to do pretty well with older white voters and with suburban voters. For the tilt states, sorry, I might have touched my mic to my lip. Only three. They don't really decide the election. But Bernie gets Georgia, whereas Pence gets Arizona and North Carolina. Arizona, Pence is going to be well enough with the rural or with the suburban vote. Even though he's going to get less rural turnout, and Bernie's going to do pretty well with the Hispanic Latino vote, I'm still going to give it to Pence. In Georgia, Bernie's going to struggle with black voters. Pence is going to struggle with rural voters. I see Bernie having enough appeal to black voters. They can nearly carry it. Honestly, it might just be voting efforts, like voting turnout efforts, to give it to him. Because it would be a hard call, but I think that there are going to be enough voting efforts and enough support for somebody like Bernie that he can like narrowly carry it. North Carolina, Pence is going to get less rural turnout. Bernie's going to do very well with the working class. The suburbs will shift slightly to the left, but Bernie's going to struggle with the black vote, so it'll nearly go to Pence. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye!